All right, Coach, let's talk about the trip to Hawaii for the Paniello show.
Yeah. Big trip, to go out there and play a really good Hawaii team. Coach Chang has a very good football team. They've played well. They had a tough loss last weekend, but they've played extremely well. They've played extremely well on the island. That's obviously always a big, difficult trip to go out there. Paniello Trophy, I mean, we value it in the program, and so it's something that our players will learn more about today and that whole thing there, and we go into that process to it, and we have a number of players in this program that still have a lot of development, need to get better, and it just gives us another opportunity to do it, and we go from there.
Jay, any chance we see a switch at quarterback on the islands?
We've not made determination of how that's all going to go, this week. As far as, I've not made that decision. As far as start and play two, or we're going to kind of see these next couple days. Obviously, our offensive performance the last few weeks has just been abysmal, and so there's no other way to hide that. And so, you take a guy like Mason, who we feel like there's a lot of talent in and a lot of trust in and all that could be good in the future. You say, hey, give him a big run in this game, and certainly that's a consideration. We got to consider all things right now because, we're the only team in the top 25 of scoring defense in the country that doesn't have at least 7 wins. So there you
go. First practice of the spring, we heard Benny Boyd, or fall, we heard Benny Boyd screaming at his guys saying, they're blaming you. They've always blamed you. We all know, especially being the defensive coordinator here for so long, that cornerback hasn't always been a strength of this team. That's really flipped on its head this year. How impressed have you been with those guys and the guys that are coming up behind these guys?
Yeah, I mean, we've worked hard to address an area that we felt like needed addressed. And that, the recruitment of Tyrese Boss, Marquis Grant, a couple years ago, and they redshirted last year. Tyrese might not have redshirted if he didn't have the hand injury. And but the recruitment of those guys was a first step to it. And then there's Tyson Dean, and then there's David Leonard is a guy that you never really see that we have a pretty high hope for going forward too. And then we brought in Dancis. That position has been much steadier. Now we're going to get tested at a really high level this week by a very good offense. But, what has happened at that position is something that I've been very, very happy with. And look, there's a reason why we're, have a good scoring defense right now and play pretty well for the most part through the course of games. And that same level of intent is going to get squarely aimed other side of the ball.
Jay, I'm curious, I guess, is there clarity? Does Ethan Stolzatz have another year?
Yes.
And then would you maybe expect him just use the experiences from this year to maybe take over that Mike spot?
We have a big expectation for Ethan Stolzatz. I mean, he's had a really good second half of the season, played very well. I think he's learned a lot of things by being behind Evan Eller and what he's got to do. I'm pretty optimistic with that room going forward, with Ethan, Gary Rutherford, Stephen Perez, Parker Moore, Dash Bauman. There's some guys in that room. We brought in 3 talented freshmen that'll sign in about 10 days. So I'm pretty happy with that room. We're going to lose 2 guys that are big deals for us. And man, I wish I could get another year out of Braden Johnson and Evan Eller. That'd be tremendous. But they've been great. And look, I feel for those guys from the other day. Those guys played really hard, played well, and to not, reward them with a win was very difficult.
You mentioned signing day next week, but how have you gone about recruiting the guys in your program right now to come back, and what is your kind of philosophy around that?
Look, I think there's a part of, where you look at it, and there's some of it that we've done a little bit on our November open date following the San Diego State game, where we've done that a little bit with certain guys. There's going to be a lot more directed conversation about certain things with people following, the signing day, in terms of that, and how that all goes. There's a number of very important players on this team right now that would be very important for us a year ago that I have a real strong confidence that you'll see back here next year. Does that mean every single person or every single thing? Obviously probably not in 2025's world or anything that way, but there's a list if I gave you, and a number of those are on that defense that I'm looking at and that should be back and should be major contributors that I've got no reason to think that they won't be. So we're in a pretty good spot there.
What do the Wyoming Cowboys need to have in NIL range, Coach, to prevail for a championship in your eyes?
That's a great question. That's, I'm going to start playing like Powerball in the off season too. And if I hit one of those really big ones, we're going to be rolling with guys like Oregon for a couple of years. But, the reality is, I think if we were, I'll just say it, if we get up to around 2.5 million, we'll win a whole bunch of games. Okay? We're not there. And I don't want to say anything else about all the other stuff because there's things to it. And, but no, we need, there's some things that need to happen.
See you in that ballpark at all?
No.
Right now?
But look, here's the other thing. I'm not going to say that where we're at right now is the reason why. I'm not going to say that either. Okay. All right. We've had 2 games where the ball's been inside the 3-yard line that we got to win those 2 games and we'd be a bowl team right now. Okay. So let's just start with that. So that's not going to be the first thing about it, is the fact that we're just going to say it's all a money thing or it's all that. Okay. So we'll keep players around here and we'll be able to do that. But, when I know that Boise is north of 4, okay, then there's things to it. When I know that a couple other programs, Sean Lewis didn't exactly tell me what his was, but based on what he was hinting at when he was talking to me about certain guys, it wasn't like nickels and dimes. So, I don't know what everybody has, nor am I going to ask. I know what we have. I know what we need to do, all right, in that situation. And there's a couple things in a big way that we need to get fixed. And first and foremost, we got to score points. And I'm so pissed that we're not scoring points, and we're going to get that addressed.
Coach, obviously, final game of the season, I'm curious if it gives you an opportunity to maybe take a chance with some guys, give them a little bit more run, like a Gary Rutherford or a Tyson Dean, that kind of thing.
Yeah, all those guys will get run. Tyson Dean will do both ways again this week, and on special teams. Gary will play. All those guys will play. And part of it's we got some injury situations too and all that. But no, look, this isn't we want to go win the game, and we got guys that carry at a high level. Ben Florentine wants to go win the game, and he's a senior. And so, that's the thing that look, there's a big frustration. We had to turn a page and move forward and go to this game. It was a big frustration to not win that game on Saturday, not only just for senior day, but it's the Josh Allen game. It's the whole deal that way. And to not win that game was a super sense of frustration. And, there was, there's areas of this program that we've got to get substantially better in. And, a year ago at this time, my number one thing coming out of this season, that season, was we got to get this defense rebuilt. Well, we did that. Okay, well, I can tell you right now, number one on it's we ain't going to be scoring 7 points and stuff like that. We're going to get that other part of it fixed. So, if that's got to take 100,000 of my money, we're going to figure out. I'm going to figure out something with it. So we'll get that done.
Jay, kind of going off that a little bit, you mentioned obviously when Landon Sims got hurt, wanting to add an experienced transfer quarterback in the offseason. Quarterback's kind of been a struggle in the last or in year 2 years here. I'm curious if is it kind of a priority for you to get more of a dual threat, a guy that can run, or how do you kind of weigh that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. It's look at all the people. I mean, look at the people that are. San Diego State's got to where they are this year in our conference on the back of a defense and a run game, and done that. Their quarterback can do some dual threat stuff. He's not in the dynamic space of Calandria or the Utah State quarterback. You watch those two play. I mean, that's yeah. So look, I don't want. We got things to talk about in the future. We can talk about that after we play a game this week and that type of stuff. But to answer your question, yes. I mean, that's I think Mason Drew fits that quality. I found that everybody talks about that. In the NFL, they talk about it, about how at some point a quarterback has to be able to bail you out. Everything's covered, and something's, Bo Nix has to get a first down on a 3rd and 8 every once in a while, right? And that's what happens, and that's just the reality to it. And so we have to get better.
You just talked about revamping that D in the offseason. Everybody looks at the transfer portal like it's the worst thing in the world. Is it kind of exciting in a way for you guys to know that you can potentially go do that and change what that whole complexion looks like overnight?
Yes. So my number one goal is to play well this week. We want to win this week. We want to go play. We want to go on the road and do our best this week and play well and win. Number 2 goal coming out of that is signing day, okay? And I think we've got a very good class that we've got recruited. We had a very good class of freshmen that we had from this past year. On Saturday, there was Tyson Dean, Dion DeBlanc, Caden Kimball Turner, Jonathan Bush. Who else am I missing? Got to be missing somebody. Oh, it's Sam Harris that all played in that game, right? Parker Moore will play again this week. It's a good class. I think we followed it up with another good class. Okay, well, what's got to happen in the meantime, and that's why I'm frustrated about the ball being inside the 5-yard line twice against Air Force and Nevada, and we're not scoring and winning those 2 games, is the fact that the dynamic of everything changes right now. If hey, we get a chance to go win a game this week, but we got another game, we got a bowl game beyond that, and the whole thing that way, and it'd be a really positive step towards certain things, and to where you've got, hey, well, we made a step, we've got where we needed to get to, and we've got all this young talent that we're kind of accumulating, and now we got to develop. This is the best offensive line class that we've recruited in terms of what we're about to sign. We've never had 3 guys north of 6'5", in that. We've not had that in that type of space. And, so all this stuff's really important, but we need to make a step, and we didn't make the step, and we had the ball inside the 5-yard line 2 different games and didn't score to win the game and get that done. We didn't make that step. And so that's, like I said, there's, we've got things to fix. We got things, and we got to get development of players that we got. We also had a very important player that didn't play at all this year with Jake Wilson, which would have been our best blocking tight end and a guy that's a good player. So there's things to look forward to. You get some people back and do all that. I look at Dante Drake walking around, and I can't wait for him to start playing again. It's a 300-pound guy that's a really good player, and so there's things there too. But there's still no excuse in the present, and that's what we got to get done.
Jay, you've talked and we've heard about how close this team is and how committed they are. Do you have any concerns going into this week of anyone checking out?
No, I don't have that concern. I don't have that concern. And if I first of all, if I ever got a semblance of it, I just wouldn't take them. You know what I mean? Like, you'll know based on how a person practices and how a person's engaged and all that. And like, nobody said that I have to take X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? And so if I don't feel that way, no, that's not. I don't feel that way at all. I don't think that. Well, I'm not concerned with that.
Jay, you mentioned it a little bit, but going back to last week, I'm curious what the experience of having a guy like Josh Allen come back here, and I know he spoke with the team on Friday night. What do you think that maybe did for the players, and how unique was that whole ceremony when you went back and watched it?
Look, that weekend was so special in a big way, right? Like, you got one of the best players in the last quarter century in the NFL that played in this program and came back, NFL MVP. And when he talked to the team and talked about how much he loved being at Wyoming, how much he loved his teammates, how when he had the opportunity to leave and go into the draft early, that he couldn't leave a year at Wyoming without playing in it, about how when he had an injury and everybody told him not to play in the Potato Bowl as a likely first-round pick, that he played in that game. And also the flip side of it's the reality of what everybody told Craig Bowl about it was the fact that he did do that tells you everything about the type of leader, character, and toughness that the guy has, okay? Right? And so all of our players got to hear that, and all of our players got to kind of hear that message, and they got to ask a lot of questions. And I thought one of the questions that was best, one of our freshmen asked him, "What's your why about playing football? Like, why, why?" And and I loved the answer. He didn't take a millisecond answer. He's just like, "I effing love it." Bottom line. And what happens is in today's world, right, like that's the first thing that you're trying to find recruiting-wise and everything else. I can tell you this right now. Tyson Dean, he loves to play football. Dion DeBlanc, he loves to play football. Like there's a list of guys in this program that love to play football. And that's what we got to find recruiting-wise. And Josh Allen's answer immediately was just like that. Well, then the thing is with it, then he went and they took a big group photo in the weight room, okay? Well, he took the time then to take an individual picture with every single player in the program, basically. Unbelievable, and the whole deal that way. Unbelievable how the whole atmosphere was Saturday, the senior day was Saturday, and everything else. And that's why, like, look, you turn a page, you go to the next game, you do that. And there's a lot of things then in your coaching career that you will remember, and you will remember this big win. And I was at Minnesota and we beat Nebraska for the first time in however many years in the whole deal. I'll never forget being the head coach and losing the Josh Allen game. That'll stick with me till the day I die. So.
You guys went into Pullman, Washington last year with nothing to play for but pride and a backup quarterback and the whole nine, and we all saw what happened there. How much will you bring that up this week, and is that exactly what you want to see on the islands?
Oh, I mean, look, that's that we're going to need to play great, first of all, because we know that they're going to play great. We're going to have to play a tremendous game to have a chance to win this week, okay? And first and foremost, it starts with the fact that we need to be efficient, effective, and we need to move the ball. This will be a tax on the defensive for the next thing you know, every 3 plays we're back out there for a little bit. Okay, and so that's a challenge, and so we've got to make sure that we do it. We have to play a great game offensively, and when's the last time we did that? It's right, like maybe CSU's first half or something. So, so that's what we're going to have to get done. But yeah, I mean, we're talking about all these different things. Yesterday, we did a walkthrough and had a short team meeting and did all that type of stuff. And then today we're back at it and we got to go because the this week's travel was a little different too. So
you said injuries.
Yeah. So here's where we'd be at. Sam Harris will be out this week. Okay, he's getting an MRI today, and hopefully it's nothing big, but he got his knee banged up the other day. Enoch will be out this week. He's got an MRI today too. He also got an a knee issue. It should be those. I mean, I don't think anything's going to be like long term for anybody, but they wouldn't play this week. I don't know about Chisholm, Ifeanyi. That was one of the things. That one kind of hurt me the other day too. It was like I really have appreciated him. I really love what he's done in this program, just for being here just this year. And when we go senior day the other day, he knew that there was like no chance that he could play, but he dressed and went out in pregame warm-up to try. And when we do the senior day and they introduced everybody and they all ran out to midfield to me, he couldn't run out there. Like, he can't run right now. And so he had to walk, right? And that was just that one was hard because he's done a great job. He's been a great person in the program. So that one was hard there. Other than that, a couple bumps and bruises. We'll kind of see where we get to with certain things. So
what's the situation with Kelman?
He had an eye issue, and we'll kind of see if that is improved for this week where he would be playable. But his was an eye issue and just left him with very, very, very limited vision. And so that's kind of hard to play when you can't see that well.
No doubt. Talked about wanting to improve this offense, how much it needs to be upgraded. What's your evaluation right now of Anderson through 11 games? Are you seeing the type of progress that you'd like to see?
Well, I mean, look, I think as far as an evaluation to it, like I said, we got a game to play this week. I'm not going to make a big statement on evaluations of certain things. It's easy to say one thing. There's an evaluation. I mean, you look at it offensively and go, okay, all right, who is making the big progress right now? I mean, you're not scoring 17 points in 3 games, and you're sitting there saying, like, we're making big progress, all right? And so there's a lot of things that obviously on that side of the ball that we've got to, address, fix. I know what I want this to look like. We don't look anything like it right now, and there's things to it in that regard that we've got to do. But like I said, you can't sit there and be top 25 in the country in scoring defense in today's football and have a 4-7 record right now. That's almost unheard of. So, in fact, it is, because we're the only team that's in that spot. So, okay.
Good. Thank you. And shut up.